Have you ever seen a legend forced to reinvent itself just to survive? Because that's exactly what might be happening right now with Glock. Yes, the Glock. The company that practically defined the modern pistol is now in the middle of what could be its biggest identity crisis ever. Internet chatter is on fire. Some people are calling it corporate betrayal. Others are calling it survival instinct. But what's really happening here? And should we, the shooters and gun owners, actually be mad about it? Let's break this all down. As of October 20th, 2025, talk across the firearm community has exploded after reports surfaced that Glock will discontinue most of its commercial handgun lineup by November 30th, except for the Slimline family. What's coming next? These mysterious new V models, pistols supposedly designed to defeat illegal full-auto conversion devices. It sounds like science fiction, but it's very real. The same Glock that's been trusted for decades by police, military, and everyday Americans is now changing its DNA to fight the rise of the Glock switch. Now, before we jump to anger or outrage, let's take a breath and see how we got here. Because trust me, this isn't just another gun company gone soft story. It's about legal warfare, federal pressure, lawsuits, and a world where even the biggest name in firearms can find itself trapped between survival and sacrifice. The Glock switch problem. If you've been even casually following gun news in the last few years, you've heard of the Glock switch. It's a small, often 3D printed or imported metal device that attaches to the back of a Glock slide, converting it from semi-auto to full auto, turning an everyday handgun into a miniature machine pistol. These things cost pennies to make, can be bought online from sketchy marketplaces, and they're flooding the streets. Under federal law, any device that enables automatic fire, even a tiny switch, is considered a machine gun itself. That means possessing or using one is a serious federal felony, but that hasn't stopped criminals from using them. In fact, ATF data shows a shocking increase. 148 conversion devices were recovered in 2019. By 2023, that number exploded to 5,116, and in 2024, the city of Chicago alone claimed to recover 1,300 Glock switches. These numbers tell a bigger story. The kind that catches the eyes of politicians, lawyers, and anti-gun lobbies faster than anything else. The result? Glock is now in the crosshairs of lawsuits and legislation it can't afford to ignore. Right now, Glock is being sued in multiple states, and they're losing early rounds in court. Chicago, Minnesota, and New Jersey have all filed suits blaming Glock for the misuse of its firearms by criminals who install illegal switches. And Glock has lost motions to dismiss in nigh every single one so far. Even Maryland and Baltimore jumped in earlier this year, and 12 states have sent what's called preservation of evidence letters, basically telling Glock, "We're probably going to sue you next, so don't destroy any documents." What does that mean in plain English? It means Glock is being boxed in legally. The company's reputation, finances, and even access to major U.S. markets are under fire. Losing in California alone, the third largest gun market, is a massive hit. Add in millions in legal fees, government pressure, and the threat of billion-dollar judgments, and it's clear why Glock is cornered. To some people, that makes Glock a victim, not a villain. They're being targeted because criminals are misusing their product, but others see it differently, as Glock bending the knee to political pressure, giving up their iconic design heritage for fear of the courtroom. One of the biggest triggers for this redesign came out of California. Earlier this year, the state signed AB 1127, a bill banning the sale of pistols readily convertible to automatic weapons. They didn't name Glock directly, but everyone knows who they were talking about. The law doesn't seize guns already owned. It just bans future sales of easily convertible models. Some thought this law would be struck down quickly under the Supreme Court's Bruin test, which requires gun laws to align with historical tradition. But California crafted it smart. It's narrow, specific, and echoes existing federal language. So there's a good chance it sticks. And if it does, you can expect other states to follow. That's the environment Glock's now facing. One where every lawsuit, every regulation, and every headline puts more pressure on the company to change or get buried. So, Glock's answer is what they're calling the new V models. Details are scarce, but insiders say these will feature internal design updates that make illegal auto conversions impossible. We're talking micro-level mechanical changes, maybe redesigned slides, modified strikers, different sear geometry, subtle enough that they still feel like Glocks but can't be converted. Sounds smart, right? It's damage control, but for many in the gun community, this move feels like a betrayal. The memes have already started. People are calling Glock government Glock, Stepper Glock, Compliance Glock. It's become the new punching bag for gun rights purists who believe any step toward restriction, no matter how small, is surrender. The Outrage Index. Why people are so mad now. Here's where things get fascinating. The reaction to Glock's move says more about us than about Glock, because whether we realize it or not, we all run every gun controversy through a kind of mental formula, what one lawyer calls the Second Amendment Outrage Index. It works like this. Outrage is infringement X. Visibility, necessity. How much harm does the action cause to our rights, multiplied by how publicly visible it is, divided by how necessary it was for survival? Let's apply it. Glock restricting conversion devices? Maybe a 50 on the infringement scale. Not banning ownership, just closing a loophole. Visibility, a full 100. Every gun forum, YouTube channel, and even mainstream outlet is talking about it. Necessity? Maybe 10, because most people think Glock isn't being forced to do this yet. Do the math. 50 x 100, 10 on 500 outrage points. That's a lot of internet rage. Compare that to Tommy Built Tactical, a small company that got ordered by the ATF to recall and modify its G36 clones because they could be converted. The infringement was the same, a 50, but visibility, maybe 20, necessity, 100, because they were literally forced to. 50 x 20, 100, 10, outrage points. Barely a blip. That's why Glock's catching heat. Not because what they did is worse, but because it looks like they chose to do it. In reality, it's probably inevitable. The double standard in our community. Here's where the hypocrisy hits home. Why aren't people this mad at HK for welding blocks in their civilian MP5s so you can't use full auto trigger packs? Why aren't we furious at FN for not selling M249 saws to civilians? Or Barrett for not mailing us grenade launchers at cost? The answer's simple. We pick and choose our outrage. We love to hate the big, visible target. Glocks on every gun range, every cop belt, every rap lyric, every movie. It's too iconic not to react to. And because it's visible, the emotion multiplies. Meanwhile, smaller manufacturers quietly comply with the same rules, or even stricter ones, and nobody blinks. That's the double standard of gun culture right now. Outrage doesn't always match impact. The business side, why Glock might be right now. Let's look at this with cold logic. If you're Glock's lawyer, or even their CEO, your options are brutal. You can either A. Fight 12-plus state lawsuits for years, risk massive judgments, and lose access to major markets, or B. Redesign your gun preemptively, comply before you're forced, and keep selling worldwide. You'd pick option B, not because you want to, but because you want the company to live. Remember, Glock's not just an American symbol, it's an Austrian manufacturer that does business globally. It has to satisfy EU import-export law, US compliance, and civilian demand all at once. It's not about betrayal, it's about math. They've watched what happened to other companies that fought until the end and lost everything, so they're getting ahead of it, quietly changing design features while trying to keep the spirit of the Glock alive. It's not glamorous, but it's survival. So where does that leave us? We're in a strange place. Glock's redesign isn't about innovation. It's about litigation. It's about making guns lawyer-proof instead of criminal-proof. And for the first time in decades, the most famous handgun in the world is being shaped not by military contracts or customer demand, but by courtroom strategy. Some say this is the beginning of the end, that once Glock starts compromising, it'll never stop. Others say it's the only way to make sure the brand survives to fight another day. Personally, I think this is a turning point. Glock's not surrendering. They're adapting to a world that's changing faster than any of us like. And if we want to keep our gun rights alive, we need to understand the battlefield has shifted from the range to the courtroom. So here's the real question. Do you see Glock's redesign as a smart move to stay alive, or a cowardly sellout move that betrays what the company stands for? Because make no mistake, this decision is going to ripple through the entire firearm industry. If Glock bends, others will follow. If Glock holds strong, maybe they set a precedent for fighting back smarter, not louder. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. If you want to keep up with how these V models actually look when they hit the market, and what they mean for your current Glock, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join me when I break down the first leaked photos and early reviews of the redesigned Glocks. Until then, stay sharp, stay trained, and remember, in this fight, information is your best weapon.